Okay, my friends, shocker supreme du jour. Now, if you just saw my last video, I went through the immune system, which consists of the lymphatic fluids and the lymph nodes, which detoxify your body. Now, you see these little tiny lines here? Those are lymph ducts, little tiny lymph ducts. That is a vein. Now, this again is new technique to see things. All right, you see what's coming down here? Dumping. This is what they call the capillaries, and it's dumping its waste. It's used blood into the vein to be brought back up to the heart. Now, those little tiny things I showed you, and I mean they're tiny. You see how tiny they are? Those are the lymph, and it sucks out all of the fluids and it returns it to your body. Okay, and I'll show you some. Well, we'll get into that in a second. But anyway, these are the arteries coming down. And they branch off into all these little blood vessels, and then they end up getting to the capillaries, and the capillaries into the veins. And when they dump into the veins, all the little lymph node thing and the lymph ducts suck out all the lymphatic fluids. Okay, the other talk I did earlier today was about cancer and the lymphatic system, and we're going to be getting into it very shortly, deeply. And lymph and the lymphatic vessels, and these are them, and they suck all the lymph back up. And here's the most important thing to take away from this. The lymphatic organs. Lymphatic organs are characterized by clusters of lymphocytes, which are white blood cells basically, and other cells such as macrophages. They're the big things that eat and kill other things. They're enmeshed in a framework of short branching connective tissue fibers, which I will show you. And these are the organs that are affected here. The lymph nodes, which we're going to see. Then, of course, you have your tonsils, your spleen, and your thymus. These are all part of the lymphatic system, and they all contribute some form of fluids and do some form of cleaning, basically, because this is the lymphatic system is the garbage dump. This is the garbage dump, and it takes care of all the waste in the system. And I think it has some other very beneficial effects as well. But removing the waste is absolutely critical, because that's when you get these toxins built up. Then there's all kinds of problems if you're not working correctly with your lymphatic system. And so let's dig in. All right, I'm just going to read this to you. The lymph is a fluid similar to blood plasma. It is derived from blood plasma as fluids pass through the capillaries, which I showed you, at the arterial end. So the arteries came down into the capillaries. As the interstitial fluid begins to accumulate, it is picked up and removed by tiny lymphatic vessels, those little bitty tiny ones, and returned to the blood. As soon as the interstitial fluid enters the lymph capillaries, it is called lymph, and it returns the fluid to the blood, prevents edema, and helps to maintain normal blood volume and pressure. All right? Now, this is where it happens, in between the arteries and the veins. And you have all those little tiny, this shows them bigger than they really are. They're tiny lymph capillaries, these little bitty buggers. So that's how that works. All right, so you see what it is. These are the big arteries. They carry all the volume down, and they branch off into the blood vessels. The blood vessels branch off and come down into the capillaries. The capillaries discharge into the veins, and at the same time, the little tiny lymphatic ducts suck all that juice back up. All right, you remember what I showed you, the vital flesh with the red blood coming down and the arteries and the veins and all that stuff. Well, this is dead. This has been invaded by a toxin. Don't forget, this is special photography. You're never going to see this anywhere else. And this is this toxin coming in and invading this nasty, nasty, nasty stuff. And this is the lymph fluids attacking the toxin and trying to remove the toxin. But this is about as bad as it gets, this toxin. All right, this is on a scale that nobody's ever seen before, and I can guarantee you that. Okay, so here's this toxin coming in, really nasty stuff, and this is the lymph that's coming over to try to remove this stuff and pull it out. And it is going to try to remove it, and here's all the lymph fluids coming in. You see it? A ton of them. And they're washing up against this to pull all of this toxin out. And it's pulling it all down, and it's going to bring it over to the lymph nodes. Now see all this toxins coming down here? That's all toxin being removed by the lymph fluids. And it's bringing all that lymph fluid down, 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 and it's going to meet up with some lymph nodes. You see it coming down here? And that's a lymph node. That's a lymph node. It's bringing all that stuff down. You see it not only coming down this one, it's coming down this one. It's coming over here. It's coming down to here. It's trying to bring all of that nasty stuff down to be filtered out of the body. So don't forget, here we are up here, pulling all the nasty stuff out of the invading acids, basically. All of that stuff is coming down. It's coming down. It's coming down over into the lymph nodes. Now, what does a lymph node look like real close? First of all, you see all of these little bits and pieces coming into that lymph node. And all of these little bits and pieces coming over this side too. Well, let's get down close and look at it. Don't forget, all that lymph nodes. This is lymph coming down. You can see it's coming down. Of that, there is no question. It's not squirting out and going out. It's coming down into here. All right? So all of this stuff is coming down to be detoxified, and it's overwhelmed. Now, you see it coming in here? There's all kinds of filtration units in here. You have to get really up close, tight. You see right here? This is where most of the filtration starts. You see? It keeps all the big stuff from getting in, and it probably some bacteria is working on it here, I would imagine. I don't know. But it's got to kill, it's got to break all this stuff down to detoxify it. And it's being hit by so much stuff all at once, it just can't do it. So this one here is dying. Now, remember all of these little pieces coming in here, all of that stuff looking around. Let me show you what a lymph node looks like in an anatomical drawing. Hold on. All right, that's what a lymph node is. And this is where the lymphatic fluid comes in. It's going in this way. You see there's a little valve there. It can only go one direction. It comes in from all over around. And then it comes up to here where I was showing you all of those. This is a big lymph node, and these are all the little walls inside of it, and they have all these entrances, and whatever happens in there is some kind of chemistry that cleans it up, and then it sends it back into the blood, and then the lymph continues out to go continue around the body to clean up all the garbage. It brings it in, cleans it up, and it dumps it back into the blood. All right, and these are the three different types of plumbing. You got your artery types, you got your vein, which is the blue one, and then you have your lymph little tubes. So that's what a lymph node looks like. Now this is how the filtration works. I showed you there's all that filtration around the lymph node itself. It's supposed to have nice little red and blue arteries and things running onto it to filter out the blood after it gets cleaned up. And in our other case, it didn't happen. They killed him. Just to make it completely clear, this is what a lymphatic vessel looks like. And it's got the white blood cells in it. It's got antigens in there, the lymph fluids, and excess fluids run into there and wastes run into here. Large proteins, nutrients end up going into here. This must be a delivery system of some form of the nutrients. Now, down here is a blood cell, a blood vessel. And these are all blood cells. And they do some other stuff too. You get your nutrients, your oxygen goes out into your blood, into your little cells and so forth. Fluid from the blood runs out, wastes run in, carbon dioxide runs in and is absorbed by the blood cells, and then it gets reworked and so forth. This is a very, very interesting system. Now, you saw the little filtration units here. All right, on this one. Now, here's the other one down here. Somewhere. Over the rainbow. Here it is right here. Now, this has the same thing. It's no difference whatsoever. You see it? And this one also is dead. Invaded by that acids. And they came down here and they collected here, and they just can't be processed quick enough to keep the thing alive. Same thing happened to this one. All right, they're all being invaded the same way. They're all built the same way. You see it? There's no difference whatsoever. And those are all the lymph nodes that have been killed by this toxin flowing down from this invading stuff. And that's the lymph fluids trying to bring it down to be processed. It's just an overwhelming attack. That's what this kind of an attack is. It's just overwhelming. And it's killing them all the way down the line. All of them. All right. Like I said, this has never been seen before, this type of photography. And the reason is, this is the dragon and the fish in the desert. And the dragon spit all that nasty stuff out on the fish here. All right. This is all the nasty stuff coming out of Typhon's throat. You see it? That's the same stuff that hit the fish. All right, and they spit it right down, all the way down, and hit the fish on its back right here, the fin, and then it ate right through the flesh over here, and it's ate the scales off right here. Because the first ones I showed you was where the blood vessels are here, and the only reason we can see them is because that toxin ate through the scales. And we can see down inside and see every little detail. We can see the veins, we can see the lymph system. All right, these are the veins. These are the capillaries. These are the lymphatic ducts. All these little ones here. And this, my research is not a joke. This is serious, and it should be taken serious. If you want to live in the reality of the real world, then, or you just want to hang out with your friends and say the same things they say, which is not reality. And that dragon goes all the way from here to there. This is where his tail ends. And there's still dragon scaled, I think it has feathers out here. When you see things growing real green, it's usually from feathers, especially when they're on dragons. You see that? This is something like a feather at the end. You see that coming way out there? That's not just some kind of hills and valleys. This is what gets me crazy. Look at this. Who could ever possibly miss, you say, oh, that's just a hill and a valley. No. That's patterned like a feather or something. Anyway, it comes all the way out to here. Now, let me show you something. That's his tail, runs all the way across. These are what his dragon scales look like. You see? And this is the runoff of bodily fluids, which is bloody stuff. And it's coming out of here because there's a swale in here. And all this stuff runs down this way, and then it has to drain somewhere, and that's it. And that's blood. And these are dragon scales. You see that? I mean, it's exotic as hell. I mean, it is. It's just amazing, but it is what it is. And this was written about in the ancient texts. They said Typhon was a giant that was attacking the gods, and the gods turned themselves into animals. And this one, the fish, didn't get away. And here's his throat, well, here's his head. And the beards are where, the beard plays a big part in this juice that went down to get the dragon, get the fish. That's where it looks like it came out of to me. And this yellow stripe here, you see it? That runs all the way down his body. That yellow stripe is what fed that. The nasty stuff. Now, this throat right here, all the way down. Now, right here, it got cut. Right there. And that's bled out in the desert, that red and black. And it got cut right across here. And that is also what it says in the ancient texts. We're all the way right down here. All of this is just bloody runoff. That's his throat. And that's the tip of his nose. Now, let's just see for something, for kicks. Boom. It should be able to measure this. There we go. Boom. 1,198 miles. All right, 1,190 miles. Let's go with that. And I started at the back of his tail, all the way up. 1195, somewhere around there. That's a good sized creature. So what I just showed you is biology, and it brings up my point about the immune system and how lymph nodes work and how lymph travels through the body. And there's a lot more to learn about this. It's just beyond spectacular. I do not disagree with that. But if you want to live in reality, then you have to take a look at it and start thinking about it. And I will be called a fool for showing this. It's amazing the mindset that I have found. As Velikovsky said, homo ignoramus. That's what I have found. And they hate Velikovsky too. They hate him. They destroyed him. They destroyed me, as much as they can. Now I see my stuff is getting out, and you can't deny what I'm showing. Velikovsky just had ancient texts and predictions about what Venus would do and what it did in the past. I have the evidence that cannot be denied. All my stuff, I don't show anything that's not supported by material scientific evidence. And to not look at it and to say, oh, the guy's crazy because he's talking about crazy things. They're crazy things, absolutely. No problem. I'm certainly not going to dispute that. But they are real, and they were recorded. Read Apollodorus. You see that, Typhon? Here's Apollodorus. Where do you go? Apollodorus, where are you? Here you are. All right, there it is right here. This is the giants, the other giants Zeus smote, killed all the giants on earth and destroyed them with thunderbolts, which he was shooting them with thunderbolts. All of them Hercules shot with arrows as they were dying. Now listen to this. This is Typhon. When the gods had overcome the giants, so the gods killed all the giants, But the giants were the children of Earth. So Earth was upset. Earth was more enraged and had intercourse with Tartarus and brought forth Typhon. And he's the hybrid between man and beast. In size and strength he surpassed all the offspring of Earth. All right? He outtopped all the mountains. His head often brushed the stars. It goes on and on and on, and he was the one. So this is not silly. It's crazy, but it is not silly. It's true. And until people start waking up and thinking about what it means, well, I don't know. I really don't know how to interpret it, to be perfectly honest. You're going to have to take it for what it means to you. But it is reality. And to me, reality is more important than the comfort zone you can find yourself in when you just give up on truth and you just want to exist in your little bubble of nonsense. And that's what I have found. Absolutely, just it's incredible. Absolutely stunning. I never expected what I have encountered, my friends. And like my friend Emmanuel Velikovsky said, Homo ignoramus. His book is Worlds in Collision. And he accounted for all of the ancient texts from all of the cultures. He went around all the world, museums, libraries, cultural centers, all the historians, museums, everywhere. And they all had a similar story. And these kind of things didn't happen that long ago. This is all on the face of the earth. Everything that I have in my collection came off the face of the earth. And it is all petrified from soft-bodied creatures. And according to Velikovsky, it was 3,500 years ago. So I'm going to leave it at that. But this backs up my statements about the immune system and my statements about history and the rest of the thing. I love you all. We'll talk again.